Regardless, it is a pleasure having you all in here. So I wanted to simply welcome each and every one of you. So Nick, wherever you are, come up because this mic is giving me a hard time. All right? So I don't want this to happen when the Congressman is here. Okay. So regardless, there is more than one way to do things. First and foremost, let me ask, raise your hand if this is the first time you have been in this center. Look around. Wow. Welcome home. Welcome to your community center. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. Jason from Congressman's office knows he was here. We had another event in the back. We had another event here as part of the Forum on Religious Freedom, and I asked the same question, and over 80% of the people who raised their hands said this was their first time that they came to the center. So with that being said, I'm going to start by telling you the following. There is no better way to get to know people than coming to such community centers, sharing conversations, breaking bread, even if it's over hummus or some other exotic thing. So, I want to welcome each and every one of you to the Islamic Center of San Diego. This is one of the largest Muslim community center in here. We are the essentially the constituents of 52nd District, and we're proud to have all of you in here. My name is Hanif Mohebi. I'm the Executive Director of Council on American Islamic Relation, San Diego office. Before I forget, when you go out, you have a table there with a lot of information. Please, especially if this is your first time, pick up some information about this community and how you can get involved. We're going to be talking to Congressman about the Forum on Religious Freedom, which we initiated. We need each and every one of you. It's a coalition of all of us to stand and make about a positive difference. So as you walk out, please make sure that you sign before you leave so we know how to get hold of you before you exit. Now, I want to make sure that you understand who was responsible for bringing this forum together. What is really beautiful about this is it's not me, it's not anybody else. It is Andrea Schneider of Together We Will. I want to recognize all of you. I want to also say that recognize individual team and Kathy for their contribution. So it's the community that got together and brought this together. And finally, I want to thank Congressman Scott Peter. None of this would have happened without our dearest friend, Congressman Scott Peter. Here he is.
Hey everybody, happy President's Day. Ever think about that?
Not this one.
I have a couple format issues, just to let you know. What we're going to do is, we have this room till 7 o'clock, but we just learned today that there's going to be prayer from 5:45 in the next room until 6 o'clock. So we'll take a 15-minute hiatus. There's going to, actually, the center's offered some snacks and stuff. We can't have any amplified sound during that time, and so we'll have a chance to chat, but I think we'll have plenty of time to talk. Anything else I should say by way of starting? Oh, and so what we'd like to do is, so that the TV cameras know about what you're asking, we'd like you to ask questions from that microphone. So when you're ready, I'm sure someone will have a question. Let me just make a couple opening remarks. First of all, I want to thank the Islamic Center for hosting us today, and thank Hani for the kind welcome. Thank you. One other thing we're going to ask you to do, just for our own input during the break, if you fill out our survey, we'll pass that out and we'll have a little time to look at that. That'd be really helpful. I have been trying for years to get people to understand how important it is to be engaged in the political process, and how important what I do is, and why I feel so passionately about what it is I do for a living, what it is you're kind enough to let me do for a living. This is a great honor to represent you. Unfortunately, I've had a hard time getting people interested, and it took the election of Donald Trump to remind people that we are all fighting for our democracy every day, every hour of every day. And this is a fight. This is a fight that's been going on for over 200 years, and we're in the middle of it today. And I can't tell you how many people come up to me now that the election's over, and they say what? They say, what do we do? Right? So I'll just offer 3 things we should be doing, and then maybe we can have a conversation. First, we have to do whatever we can do to stop bad things from happening. All right? We see the office of the president being used today to line someone's own pockets. We see this connection between, we know there's a connection between Russia and Trump. We know that they were talking during the election. We don't quite know what the nature of it is, but we sure need to know what that is, right? We need to know what that is. I've been battling for my 4 years in Congress what was not a serious threat, but which now is a very, very serious threat, that Planned Parenthood will be defunded. There will be no more federal funds for Planned Parenthood. We are talking seriously about building a wall for $15 billion that won't provide any more security for our nation, and will in fact be counterproductive for this region's economy. I don't know if you know, when I was elected in 2012, I went to the Regional Chamber of Commerce, not your most left-wing organization here in San Diego. And I said, what's the most important business thing for us to work on? You know what they said? They said, we have to reduce the border delays at the Mexican border, because that trade is so important for our economy. And what they want to do in Washington is so counterproductive to what's important to us in San Diego. We are now about to have our second iteration of whatever you want to call it. It's a Muslim ban. Okay? When you take 7 Muslim countries and you only provide exceptions for religious minorities, that is by definition a Muslim ban. By the way, it doesn't apply to the countries where actual terrorists came from who blew up our towers. And some have suggested that it may have something to do with where the hotels are. But we're all pretty much, I can tell we're pretty much in agreement in this room. But in Congress, we do not have a majority to vote on these issues. And I'm not gonna assume that everyone's a Democrat here. There may be Republicans, there certainly are independents. But for my party, the Democrats, we're at the lowest level of elected office since before Herbert Hoover. Woo! So we're not going to win a lot of votes. All right? How do we stop these awful things from happening? Fortunately, there are lawsuits on things like the emoluments clause, and we saw that the federal courts stopped the most recent travel ban. And thank goodness our founders thought to separate powers and to provide that no person is above the law, because that's going to stop some bad things from happening. But that's not what we're doing in this room. What can we do in this room? We just have to raise it up. and we have to keep shining a light on what's going on. And I'll tell you too, I'm not a Bernie Democrat myself, and maybe some Bernie Democrats in here, but I've been known as kind of a moderate, someone who's willing to work with people. And there's a lot of Republicans who are really uncomfortable with some of the stuff that Trump is doing. It's not a Republican, traditionally Republican thing to waste $15 billion on a wall that gives a diplomatic middle finger to one of our closest allies. Republicans are not comfortable with that. Making our national security apparatus a political operation that serves the presidential's political operation rather than our national security, that's definitely not a Republican notion. I think Ronald Reagan would have been for that. And not just avoiding immigration reform. Remember, immigration reform was something that was really prized by the Chamber of Commerce as something we needed to do to get our scientists here, to get farm workers, get workers in home health care. They wanted immigration reform. Now, we're not just standing still on immigration. Jeff Sessions is the, we're not starting here. I hear you. Okay. All right, that should work better. Now Jeff Sessions is the, who is the most anti-immigration senator, is now the Attorney General. And we'll be driving immigration policy, and that's punishes our businesses. And that's not what Republicans want to do. And they're talking about a tax overhaul that will provide tax breaks to people who don't need tax breaks. But from a Republican perspective, will let's point out, it will increase the national debt by 50%. So we've heard all about this $19 trillion national debt. It will go up $9 trillion just from this plan. And what we have to do is let's make sure Republicans know that we know they're not comfortable. And there's some around here you might want to just ring up. Because they know better. And we have to get them to stand up. If we're going to win these battles, they know better. Let's get them to stand up. You're all doing a great job. I marched in Washington. I know a lot of you marched here. And I understand there might have been more people at that march than were at the it's hard to count. But that was really important. That was really important. And also the demonstration we had for immigrants here, the day without immigrants. Right? So all these things are really important. Remind them. Use your emails, use your demonstrations, use your marches, use your phones. That's the first thing. We have to stop bad things. Second, we know bad things will happen. We're not going to stop everything. So what do we do? What can we do to mitigate the damage? Right? What can we do to make it less? Right. And that's where locally we can really be active. We know that our immigrant families, whether you're Mexican American or Muslim American, are horrified by what's happening. They're scared. People are scared to go to school. People are scared about what's going to happen at work. People are scared about whether they can leave the country and come back. But that's not who we are. But we have ways to get involved. You can do things like, sorry, this is my boss. You can support and volunteer with the International Rescue Committee, right? You can work with the ACLU. We have other organizations locally that are fighting back, like Planned Parenthood, the League of Conservation Voters. Anyone worried about climate at all, as I am? Scott Pruitt is your new EPA director. Congratulations. So what can we do? Let's get involved locally. Let's set an example for the rest of the country, as we do in California so well. And let's also show compassion. Let's take care of those people who need us. Some of us aren't threatened, right? I know Trump's not going to hurt me. But I can reach out to people who are threatened, and we can show our love and our care for them too. Second thing. Finally, there's elections in 2018 and 2020. We might have an effect on those. That's the third thing. It's hard to do better than we're doing here in California. Okay? We have, we won, I think Secretary Clinton won the California election by 4 million votes. Now I want you to think about that for a second, because everyone talks about how she won the national popular vote by 3 million. California was the entire difference. The entire difference. Okay? So we are an island, folks. The rest of the country, for better or worse, is not thinking like us. Okay? So let's be aware of that. Not everyone is California. We can't treat them like that. For some reason, people who we counted on to vote with us, who voted for Bill Clinton and voted for Barack Obama, voted for Donald Trump this time. And for some reason, people who are with us, we know are with us, just didn't get off the couch and vote at all. And so what we thought was unthinkable, all the smart people on TV thought was unthinkable. President Donald J. Trump. And I want to point out too that Democrats didn't do well this year. We talked about getting 20 House seats. We got 6. And every kind of Democrat, whichever your kind of Democrat is, they all lost. So you had Russ Feingold, a populist in Wisconsin, or Zephyr Teachout, who's a Bernie Sanders protege in New York. They lost. You have progressives like Kate McGinty in Pennsylvania. She lost. My friend, moderate Patrick Murphy in Florida, he lost. Outsiders like Jason Kander in Missouri, insiders like Evan Bayh in Indiana, they all lost. So let's get beyond this point like there's some magic part of the party that's going to bring us home. I don't see that yet, okay? But I do have a couple theories, and I want to pursue them nationally. One is, I think, if we do sit-ins, it ought to be about jobs. People want more jobs, right? And that's a message we've gotten away. We've talked about fairness a lot. But when you talk to someone, and everyone supports the minimum wage increase, for instance, as do I. But you're talking to a lot of people who are already making $15 an hour, $17 an hour, and that's not what affects them. They want more jobs. They want jobs for their kids. They want to make sure they can hold on to their jobs. Our Democratic message has to be about more jobs. Second, we need to offer opportunity. Most people see themselves not as victims, but as economic actors, and they want an opportunity to compete. They want a handout, but they want to know that their kids can have a shot at getting an education without being burdened with thousands of dollars, average $30,000 of student debt. That's what Democrats are for, and that message got lost this year too. And finally, we, the tolerant people, we have to be tolerant. We have to be tolerant. Of course there are racists out there, right? Of course there are. But not everyone who didn't vote the way we voted, is a racist or misogynist or a deplorable, for God's sakes. But we can't talk to those people. We need those people. We need to be listening to those people. What is it we're missing? What is it that we understand in California that we're missing in other places? It's got to be an open-hearted, open-minded inquiry. And we don't want to be judging people. So we need to listen hard, adapt our message, and make sure that we're talking to the people who've been tuning us out. Okay, we have to have a little bit of a humility lesson here too. So with that, I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy that you have seen fit to come out and be engaged in this way. I'm so sad that the reason is not my intrinsic usefulness, but Donald Trump. And I'd be happy to take any questions. Anyone would like to ask a question, please go to the mic. Yeah. Just come on up to the mic and get in line. I'd also like to say that that the person who organized my march in Washington, D.C., I'll tell a quick story, is my wife, Lynn, who's here tonight. She never comes to political stuff, even she came tonight. And so a spouse gets a, and I'll tell you about my daughter, then I'll come to you. A spouse gets a ticket to the inauguration right up front in the lawn, right? So I said, you gonna go to the inauguration? She says, yeah, let's go. It'd be interesting to see. She liked the Obama one. I said, okay. So then one of my friends said they weren't going. Would I like another spouse ticket? And so I said, well, maybe our daughter would like to go. She called my daughter. My daughter said, no way, not my president. So then Lynn decided not to go too. I know, San Diego had a good morning. It was really impressive. So go ahead, ma'am, introduce yourself and take a question.
I'm Andrea Schneider, and thank you so much for being here and really appreciate all that you're doing.
Mike is beyond, is it on?
Is it on now? Yes. So I'll start over. So I'm Andrea Schneider, and thank you so much for being here. So my question is about the executive order, not the travel ban, but the immigration enforcement. And so I kind of just like to get your thoughts on what is a pathway to citizenship for the roughly 11 million people that could be affected by this, and particularly those in San Diego, and then what we can do as a group to help these people.
Well, remember, in 2013, the Senate actually came up with a plan. It got 68 or 69 votes. It was a very bipartisan bill. And the person who killed it was Jeff Sessions, parenthetically. And the idea was it provided border security. This gentleman over here was interested in border security. It provided some additional border security, some armament, some border patrol people to satisfy those people who are concerned about that. It provided permission slips for workers to come in here, and provided a pretty torturous path, I think it was about a 13-year path, to legalize those people and make them citizens. So there is a plan on the books to do that. We never got to vote on it in the House because you can't force a vote. But there's a pretty good template, a pretty good compromise. It's a bipartisan compromise. I think we should put that one back on the table. Now, you and I won't love everything about the border security there. It's a heck of a lot better than what Trump's proposing. And it would solve a lot of other problems, but that's what government's supposed to do. We're supposed to be working together and compromising. The Senate did a good job in that in 2013. I think we should resurrect that. Sir?
Hello, thank you for coming. My name is Kevin Winger. I live in Bay Park and own a business in Point Loma. I'm here representing Hillcrest Indivisible. We have 500 plus members in our group. I wanted to ask...
I like the Bay Park better than the Hillcrest Park.
California is a national bellwether for social and economic issues, and I want to know what you and your office can do to help support the single-payer legislation that is going through this state right now.
California?
Yes.
I just heard that Tony Atkins introduced that today. I don't know much about how it would work, the interplay with the federal government. Let me just tell you what I think the fight is with respect to the federal health care, which is, I think that there's things, I've always thought there's things we could do to create better markets, more competition, drive insurance prices down. We could do that with Republicans. The fight is going to be over the Medicare supplement. I'm concerned that a lot of people under the Republican plans, whether it's Ryan or the Senate or Trump, are going to get or lose health care, and I'm focused on that. I'll look at the single payer one, but that's, obviously I'm not a California legislator. Right.
Is there any way your office can interface with some of the state politicians to help?
Sure. Tony Atkins is honestly one of my best friends, and so I'm sure I'll be talking more about it too.
Thank you.
Hi, Congressman Peters. Thank you for having us here.
There you go.
My name is Wendy Batterson, and I'm one of the leaders of Indivisible 53. And I want to ask you, why do you feel that the senators and congresspeople are not obstructing more in Washington, our Democrats? Because we feel very let down by a lot of these yes votes. And we're really scared for our country, seriously scared, terrified for our country.
Yes, well, I think it's, first of all, I want to say I completely agree this is a very serious moment in our history. I can't speak for any particular senators, what they're doing. And some of these appointments are worse than others. I think you could think in your own mind, if you had to give 5 yes votes, and you probably wouldn't probably be for Scott Pruitt and the EPA.
Why do we have to give five, why do we have to give
Just
five?
saying that-
I'm just saying, like, why
We don't have
can't
to
they
give
just
any vote.
uniformly?
Let's just be clear though. We don't have the power to stop anything.
I know that.
And so I respect the senator's ability to make their own decisions. I hope that there's some tactics to stop the worst appointments. Unfortunately, I thought like Scott Pruitt is obviously probably the worst. I wouldn't pick the fight with General Mattis, for instance. I think
Yeah,
that's actually, I'm pretty comfortable with him.
I agree on that.
And Elaine Chao is on transportation. She's a real grown up too. So some of them I think are okay, but you know, I just I think it's been so. There's been so little regard from the Trump administration for finding bipartisanship. And there's been so little, as we would expect from Senator McConnell. Remember Senator McConnell said his goal was to make sure that President Obama was unsuccessful president. I mean, Matt's saying that about the president. I mean, no Republican in my childhood would say that about a Democratic president. And I'm not, you know, for me, that's not the way to fix things, to go further down that road. I certainly think that we should do what we can to stop some of those appointments, but I would just say too, to comfort you a little bit. The bureaucracy is pretty resilient. I'm now on the environment subcommittee that will be the House's interface with EPA. And, you know, we're not going to vote a lot together on that committee. Again, I would say to my constituents, my voters, I go there to solve problems, and if someone comes up with a good idea, I'm still going to go for it. I haven't seen a lot of promise of that yet, and I think Trump is making it really hard for us to work with him. And we will do what we can to make sure that we remind people what we have and we don't lose what we need.
Thank you. I hope you just continue to try to push for an independent investigation.
Yes, absolutely.
And also, we need to get the vote out. You need to teach us how to get the non-voters out.
Yes, let me just say too.
We have to be ready for 2018. Thank you, sir.
If anybody knows people in Ohio and Wisconsin.
Hi there, my name's Yvonne Elkin, and I'm going to read mine because it's long. So pay attention. So regarding the investigation into Russia's interference with our election process, there appear to be several options. While the Senate has 3 committees who want to take on the job, the House doesn't seem to be doing anything at all. The House Intelligence Committee is going to limit their investigation to just the leaks coming out of our intelligence. And the House Oversight Committee doesn't think they have any jurisdiction on this. So do you favor a nonpartisan select committee?
Yes.
And is that something the House votes on as well?
Yeah. So let me. If you think the Senate is bad, actually, so I served my first 2 terms. I was on the Armed Services Committee for 2 terms, which is the most bipartisan committee in Congress. And people they know who the enemy is there. But I also served last term on the Judiciary Committee, which was the most partisan place, and also where, frankly, a lot of these legal issues should come up. I don't think we'll get a single Republican to go with us there, because those aren't the kind of Republicans who I was talking about. Mr. Chaffetz is on there, and some of the other ones. They're just very, very partisan. And so, yes, the House has a role. I do believe that over time, this Russia stuff is going to drip, 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 and finally no one will be able to resist doing something about it. But the appropriate thing is both to investigate it from the perspective of the House committees and the Senate committees. Yes, that's appropriate. But also to add on an independent, non-political investigation. Because we should all recognize that, like 9/11, there's things that go beyond the politics of this that we need to learn from. And just like I can't understand why there's not more support for getting people to vote, I can't understand why there's not more outrage at Russians interfering with our elections. And so I'm totally on board with that.
So just to follow up, I heard a quote, and I think it was Rand Paul who made it. Why it's ridiculous that Republicans should investigate Republicans. You know, I was adult
Very revealing.
enough to remember Watergate, and certainly Republicans were investigating Republicans back then. So, you know, I don't know, what can we do to help? You know, I don't understand like you why Republicans aren't out there like John McCain is out there and Lindsey Graham.
Well, thank God for John McCain. Like, you have to give the guy credit, right? I put a tweet out today on President's Day that had Roosevelt, Truman, Kennedy, and Reagan on there, because those were four presidents who really cared about the country, who stood up to tyranny in their own way, and, you know, put the interests of the country before themselves. And they were an example to all of us. I thought to put Reagan in there was a good example. To remind Republicans, right? I see one shaking his head over there. That we're country first. We're country first, and party last. Right?
Debbie Bay Park, I'm asking this because of the 2018 elections. First, why did you attend the inauguration? Why did you attend the inauguration? And second, given that you did attend the inauguration, do you consider yourself a progressive, a moderate, or other?
Look, you know, I was elected to represent 750,000 people in the 52nd district. I consider part of my job to go to the inauguration. That doesn't mean I'm going to ever take a vote with Mr. Trump, but I think it's important for me to be there. I consider myself a civil rights Democrat. The reason I'm a Democrat, frankly, is because my parents were civil rights activists in Detroit in the 60s, at the time of the riots, and worked on housing desegregation, allied with Martin Luther King Sr., and I don't think I stand behind anybody in fighting for civil rights. On economic issues, I think we could sit around the table and come up with solutions. And some people have labeled me a moderate for that, and that's fine with me too. But I'm just trying to make the country better and fairer and more just, and I'll keep that.
Thank you for coming today, Congressman Peters. My name is Greg Lichtenstein. I'm a family physician, and I'm retiring as the director of San Diego State Student Health Services. Over the years, I've been there 34 years, I've experienced firsthand the positive aspects of the Affordable Care Act, particularly the ability of college students to obtain health coverage through their parents' plan or through increased access to Medi-Cal through its expansion. Now, from what I'm reading about the GOP's repeal and replace proposal, it will result in increased financial liability for states and individuals. You mentioned your desire for compromise. What are the minimal acceptable aspects of a Republican plan?